Hello everyone, Dr. Wolf here. I want to go over some of the things I have seen that I want to talk about over the last few days. So I'm going to jump right in. As always, if you have any questions, please let me know. First thing I want to talk about is the use of et al, et space al period. So et al is used in APA when there are three or more authors. So when you're citing a publication with three or more authors, you only list the first author and then you follow that with et al period and the year, and then page or paragraph if you have a quote. So we used to have to list all the authors the first time under APA 6, or maybe the first three authors, I can't remember. But now, from the first instance on, you just need to write the first author's last name and then space et al. So there's no comma after the author's name, just et al period and then the year. So I'm seeing kind of some variations of that. And then I'm also seeing it not used. So be sure, three or more authors, you use the first author's last name, et al period, followed by the year. If, either in parentheses, depends on if you have an in-text citation or just in the writing. Okay. Next. All right. So I want to reiterate that the use of artificial intelligence to write your papers is prohibited at UO People. I'm not accusing anyone of doing that. I'm just reminding you not to use AI. I understand it can give you some ideas, and I don't have a problem with that. But don't type directly what ChatGPT or whatever gives you, because you don't know where it's going to get the information. So what it's telling you could be right, but not necessarily so. The other thing is, it does not give you citations for where it finds the information, so you very well could be plagiarizing. So just don't use AI in your writing. Again, I know ChatGPT will kind of have a conversation with you back and forth. I don't mind that. I understand it. But don't use what it gives you in your writing. Okay? Okay, so almost everybody has gotten some feedback from me from written assignment 1. I think I have about 20 or so papers that I edited and returned to the writer. I'll do the rest of you probably with written assignment 3. I'm not obviously going to do that with any more papers. I just gave it to you to kind of help you see some of my thoughts about your writing, and then APA rules that or formatting that needed to be worked on. So I would strongly encourage you to really look at the feedback I gave you, think about questions I asked or comments I made, and then the APA rules. You need to write in correct academic format. The content, of course, is the most important thing, but I feel like you can do both. So I would like to see you practicing the APA formatting rules as much as possible. I think at this point in your program you should be pretty familiar with them. If not, go to Purdue OWL or APA Style. They have sample papers. You can just look at them and see how they're formatted, and that's how you should format yours. Okay? All right, discussion forum assessment. I have, again, this past week for Unit 2, awarded bonus points for exceptional discussion forum responses. So if you, provide a good response, and then you either ask a question or provide a new reference, or really just go above and beyond what's required, I will award bonus points. This week I also took away points because if I had warned you from Unit 1 that your response was not meaningful or substantive, then I took away points. or if I hadn't already warned you, I did that, and then from here on I will take points. So I have a post in the announcements forum about what your responses should entail. I have a post in the course forum for writing assessments because I also took some points for feedback that was not meaningful or even there. Some of you don't write anything in those aspect boxes, and that's really not acceptable because there's no way for the author to learn from you. So if you just give a score, you know, I would assume you do not do that with your students. Part of a graduate degree means that you can evaluate what you're reading and what you're others writing. So if you are just giving a score, that doesn't tell me that you're doing any kind of evaluation. So be sure you're really working to provide good feedback in the written assessment, in the aspects, and then in the discussion forum. Grading in the discussion forum, there are a lot of 10s being awarded, and I get that. I guess y'all are nice and you want to help out your classmates, but when someone only, for example, provides one reference, that's not a 10. You're in a graduate program. So if you're just using one reference and it was provided to you from UO people, that's not a 10. If someone is supposed to talk about 3 inquiry techniques and they write about one and you give them a 10, that's not a 10. So I'd like you to be more conscientious about the scores you're awarding and make them appropriate so that the writer can see that, hey, I got an 8, which is good. That's an 80%. But if I want to bump it up, I need to provide more or do more research, whatever the case may be. But, I think some of you are just kind of giving 10s, and I don't feel that's appropriate. So just putting that out there. Okay, length of paragraphs should be between 3 and 6 sentences. Some people say 2 and 7. Okay, so, my advice is 3 to 6. Some of you are turning in some really long paragraphs. So, a paragraph allows the brain to sort of take a breath and then keep moving. So think about that. If you give one long paragraph with 10 sentences, that's a lot for someone to take in, and information can get lost that way. So 3 to 6 sentences, and then start a new paragraph where it would be appropriate. Okay, and the last thing I'm going to talk about is I really hope that y'all are just reading through the discussion forum posts, even if you're not responding, just reading through your fellow students' posts and then the responses. You can really learn a lot, and several of you are providing additional resources. So, you as a researcher should be collecting a lot of sources, because you're, number one, you're going to have a capstone for the, your degree, and then you can just learn a lot of information about, say this week is inquiry-based learning. So you can, read all those posts and learn from your fellow students, learn from the responses, learn from my responses. So hopefully you are going through the discussion forum and just doing a last check. Certainly, if I have asked you a question, you should respond to that. In unit 5, I start subtracting points if you don't respond to me. So just a little warning there. So I think that's all I had for today. So really appreciate the work you're putting out. And as always, if you have any questions or concerns, I am working on trying to figure out the writing rubric. I'm as lost as you are. It used to be just the rubric, you could click on it, but I don't know why it's changed, and I do not have the same view as you. So in the class I'm taking, I can see the rubric. So I don't know what the difference is, but I am working on it. But in the meantime, if y'all are seeing a rubric, if you could chime into the course forum, because there are a couple people who are not able to find the rubric. And like I said, I don't have the same view as you, so I can't really help. All right, so with that, I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you for listening, and see you in the course room.